Listen, if you are currently on Somalia TPS or you have family members who are, you need to stop everything and listen to this. The Department of Homeland Security just dropped a massive update. Somalia TPS is officially being canceled. As of today, you have exactly 34 days left until the March 17th deadline. Most people are panic scrolling or getting bad information from social media, random YouTube videos, or Facebook groups where nobody really knows what they're talking about. But I have the step-by-step reality of what is happening, including a secret government program that offers a $2,600 cash bonus and free flights. Stick around, because the next 34 days will determine your future in the United States. I'm going to walk you through every single option you have, the deadlines you need to know, and most importantly, the mistakes that could cost you everything. Yesterday, February 10th, 2025, the DHS confirmed that the temporary protected status for Somalia will not be extended. This is not a rumor. This is not speculation. This came directly from the Department of Homeland Security official press release. Why is this happening? Under the current administration's America First policy, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem stated that the extraordinary conditions in Somalia, the armed conflict and the humanitarian crisis, have improved enough for citizens to return safely. She specifically mentioned that al-Shabaab's territorial control has decreased, that the federal government of Somalia has stabilized certain regions, and that international humanitarian aid has improved conditions on the ground. Now, I know many of you are thinking, wait, is Somalia really safe? And honestly, whether we agree with that assessment or not doesn't change the legal reality. The U.S. government has made their decision based on their intelligence reports and State Department assessments. The official termination date is March 17th, 2026. This is a hard deadline. There will be no last-minute extensions this time. In previous years, we saw TPS get extended again and again, sometimes just weeks before the deadline. People got comfortable with that pattern, but those days are over. This administration has made it clear they are taking a different approach to temporary protected status across the board. If you do not have another legal pathway by midnight on March 17, 2026, your work authorization document, your EAD card, becomes invalid and you lose your protection from deportation. You become what the government calls unlawfully present or undocumented overnight. No grace, no forgiveness, no second chances. Now, I've seen a lot of people talking about an 18-month grace period, and I need to clear that up right now because it's a dangerous trap that could ruin your plans. Yes, there is technically an 18-month wind-down period that extends until September 2027 for certain administrative purposes. But let me be crystal clear. That does not mean you have 18 months to just sit around and wait. Your right to work legally and your protection from deportation are tied to that March 17, 2026 date. Once that date hits, your EAD expires. You cannot renew it. You cannot extend it. It's done. If you wait until month 15 or month 16 of this so-called grace period to file a new application for asylum or a green card, you will already be out of status for over a year. And here's the kicker. Most immigration cases in the U.S. right now are taking anywhere from 12 to 24 months to process. Some family-based green card cases are taking even longer. If you don't start the process in the next 34 days, you are essentially guaranteeing a gap in your legal status, and that gap can destroy your chances of getting approved. USCIS does not like gaps. Immigration judges do not like gaps. It raises red flags, it complicates your case, and it gives them a reason to deny you. So let's talk about your options, and I want you to listen carefully because not all of these will apply to you, but you need to check every single one. Don't assume something won't work until you've actually talked to a lawyer and explored it fully. Option 1 is the most common path, and that's family-based green cards. If you have a spouse who is a U.S. citizen, or if you have a parent who is a U.S. citizen, or if you have a child over the age of 21 who was born here in the United States and is therefore a U.S. citizen, you may be eligible to adjust your status to become a lawful permanent resident. This is called an I-130 petition for an immediate relative. Now here's the good news. Immediate relatives of U.S. citizens do not have to wait for a visa number. There's no backlog. You can file and get approved relatively quickly compared to other categories. But here is the catch, and this is huge. With the new enforcement rules that this administration has put in place, filing after your TPS expires makes the process 10 times harder, 10 times more expensive, and in some cases, nearly impossible. Why? Because once you're out of status, you may need to leave the country and apply for what's called a consular interview abroad. And if you've been unlawfully present in the U.S. for more than 180 days, you trigger what's called a 3-year or 10-year ban. So the clock is ticking. You need to get your I-130 and your I-485 adjustment of status packets ready this week, not next month, not in 2 months. This week. Gather your birth certificates, your marriage certificates if applicable, your passport, all of your TPS documentation, and book a consultation with an immigration attorney who can help you file correctly. Option 2 is employer sponsorship, and a lot of people overlook this one. If you have been working on your TPS work permit for the last few years and you are a valued employee at your company, you need to have a serious conversation with your boss or your HR department. The H-1B visa is the most common work visa in the United States for professional roles. The H-1B registration period for the next fiscal year 2027, opens on March 4th, 2025. That is only 21 days from today. If your employer is willing to sponsor you for a professional role, and this means you need to have at least a bachelor's degree or equivalent work experience in a specialty occupation like IT, engineering, accounting, healthcare, finance, then that window is your best shot. Once that registration window closes, you have to wait another entire year, and by that time, your TPS will be long gone. Now I know what some of you are thinking. But I don't have a bachelor's degree, or I work in a restaurant or in construction. Unfortunately, H-1B is not going to work for you in that case. But there are other employment-based options. Talk to your employer about a labor certification process, also known as PERM. It's a longer process, it's more expensive, but if your employer really values you and is willing to invest, it could be a path. You won't know unless you ask. Option 3 is asylum, and this is a complex one. If you have a genuine, well-founded fear of persecution if you return to Somalia based on your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion, or your membership in a particular social group, you can apply for asylum in the United States. But I need to warn you. The 2025 and 2026 asylum rules are much, much stricter than they were a few years ago. There are new policies in place called Safe Third Country Agreements. This means if you traveled through another country on your way to the U.S., you may be barred from asylum unless you applied for protection in that country first. There are also expedited removal processes in place now that allow immigration officers to deport people without a hearing in certain circumstances. If you go this route, you absolutely cannot do it alone. You need a licensed immigration attorney who understands the current administration's shift in asylum law, who knows how to present your case, who can help you gather country condition reports and expert testimony if necessary. Asylum is not a guaranteed path, but for some people it may be the only path. If you have been threatened, if you have been targeted, if you have documented proof of danger, this could be your option. But you need to file as soon as possible because there are strict 1-year filing deadlines from the date of your last entry into the U.S. Option 4 is what I call the other TPS route, and this is a rare one, but it's worth mentioning. If you are married to someone from a country that currently still has temporary protected status, countries like Haiti, Venezuela, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Sudan, Ukraine, Yemen, you may be able to derive status through them. This is complicated. It's not automatic. You would need to prove your marriage is legitimate. You would need to show that your spouse qualifies, and then you may be able to apply for their TPS as a dependent. This is a very niche scenario, but I've seen it work for a few people. You need legal help for this one because the rules are very specific. And now let's talk about the option that no one is mentioning on social media, on TikTok, on Facebook. This is the one that could actually save you a lot of money and a lot of heartache if you realize you have no legal path to stay. It's called Project Homecoming. Most people have never heard of this program because it's relatively new and the government hasn't done a big public campaign about it. But it exists, and it's real. The government knows that tens of thousands of people across the country are about to lose their immigration status. Not just Somalia TPS holders, but people from other countries as well. and they know that if all of those people suddenly become undocumented, there will be mass arrests, overcrowded detention centers, expensive court battles, and a huge burden on the immigration enforcement system. So instead of waiting for that to happen, DHS created an incentive program for what they call self-departure. It's basically a golden parachute for people who are willing to leave voluntarily. If you realize you have no legal path to stay in the United States, and you accept that you will need to return to Somalia eventually, DHS is offering you a deal. If you register your departure through the CBP Home mobile app before the March 17, 2026 deadline, the government will provide 3 major things. First, a free airfare ticket for you and your immediate family members back to Somalia. That's not a loan. That's not something you have to pay back. It's a free ticket. Second, a $2,600 cash bonus per person to help with reintegration when you get back home. That's actual money deposited into your bank account or given to you as a prepaid card before you leave. And third, and this is the most important part, you get a clean exit record. Let me explain why this matters so much. If you get deported by ICE, if immigration agents pick you up and forcibly remove you from the United States, you are automatically banned from returning for 10 years if you were unlawfully present for more than a year, or 20 years if you were ordered removed by an immigration judge. That ban is permanent and almost impossible to waive. It destroys any chance you have of ever coming back to the U.S. legally, whether it's on a tourist visa, a student visa, a work visa, or a family-based green card. You're done. But if you leave voluntarily through Project Homecoming before the deadline, you do not have a deportation order on your record. Your immigration history stays clean. This means, if you want to apply for a visa in the future, maybe your child becomes a U.S. citizen in 15 years and wants to sponsor you. Maybe you get a job offer from a U.S. company. Maybe you want to visit family on a tourist visa. Your path is still open. You're not banned. You're not blacklisted. That is the smart way to exit if you truly have no other option. And let me be clear, this program is not for everyone. If you have a pending green card application, if you have a real asylum case, if you have a U.S. citizen spouse, don't use this program. But if you've been here on TPS for years, you don't have family ties, you don't have an employer willing to sponsor you, and you know deep down that your time here is coming to an end, then Project Homecoming might actually be the best financial decision you can make. You get money to restart your life, you avoid the trauma and danger of deportation, and you keep your record clean. So now that you know all 5 options, let me give you a step-by-step action plan for the next 34 days. I want you to follow this week by week because if you don't, you will wake up on March 18th, 2026 and realize you missed every single deadline. Step 1. This week, right now, gather every single document you have related to your immigration history. I'm talking about your original passport, your TPS approval notices from USCIS, your I-94 arrival and departure records, your EAD card, any letters you've received from DHS, any receipts from applications you've filed in the past. Put all of it in one folder, scan it, back it up on a USB drive. You're going to need this for whatever path you choose. Step 2. Within the next 7 days, book a consultation with a real, licensed immigration attorney. And when I say real, I mean someone who is actually a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Someone who has a valid state bar license. Someone who has experience with TPS cases and adjustment of status. Do not go to a notario or a travel agency or someone who promises they can renew your Somalia TPS for a fee. They are lying. Somalia TPS cannot be renewed. It is terminated. Anyone telling you otherwise is a scammer. A real attorney will charge you anywhere from $100 to $300 for an initial consultation, and yes, I know that's expensive, but it is worth every penny because they will tell you honestly whether you have a case or not. Some attorneys even offer free consultations, so shop around. Call 3 or 4 different law firms. Ask them what your options are. Don't put all your faith in just one opinion. Step 3. Download the CBP Home App on your phone right now. Even if you are planning to fight to stay, even if you have a pending application, download the app just to see what the voluntary departure requirements are. It's a free app. It's available on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Create an account. Go through the setup process. You don't have to commit to anything yet, but you need to know how it works, just in case your legal applications get denied and you run out of time. Step 4. Start talking to people in your community, your family, your friends. Don't let your neighbors and relatives get scammed by people on Facebook claiming they can extend or renew Somalia TPS. Spread the word that it is canceled, that the deadline is March 17th, 2026, and that people need to act now. Information is power, and misinformation is dangerous. I've already seen fake posts circulating saying, "Pay me $500 and I'll renew your TPS." It's a lie. Don't fall for it, and don't let the people you care about fall for it either. The clock is ticking. You have 34 days until the first major deadline, which is March 17th, 2025, when the termination takes effect. And then you have until March 17th, 2026, when your actual status expires. In the world of U.S. immigration, 34 days is like 34 minutes. It goes by incredibly fast. The people who act this week, who make phone calls, who book appointments, who start gathering documents, those are the ones who will have a future. Whether that's a legal path to stay here in the United States or a safe, funded return home with their dignity intact and $2,600 in their pocket. Don't be the person who waits until March 16th to ask, "What happened? Why didn't anyone tell me?" Information is power, and now you have it. You know exactly what your options are. You know what the deadlines are. You know what the consequences are if you do nothing. So the question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to take action, or are you going to hope for a miracle that's not coming? Share this video with every Somali community group you are part of, every WhatsApp chat, every Facebook group, every family member. Let's make sure our community isn't left in the dark. Let's make sure people have the facts, not rumors. I'm posting updates every single day on these changes. Tomorrow, I'm breaking down the new H-1B registration fees that were just announced and the changes to the lottery system. The day after that, I'm covering the ICE enforcement priorities and what cities are being targeted. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. Your move. 34 days. Let's go.